Welcome to Leading with Purpose, the podcast that's dedicated to helping you become the leader you aspire to be. Join us on a journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and inspiration as we explore the world of leadership and personal growth. In each episode, we will explore the art and science of effective leadership, bringing you insights, stories, and strategies from experts and thought leaders across various industries. And now your hosts, Dawn Marie Bornhammer, Maisha B. Hoy, Janelle E. Taylor, and Dr. Sharon H. Porter. Welcome to Leading with Purpose, the podcast that's dedicated to helping you become the leader you aspire to be as you lead, empower, inspire, and achieve. I am Dr. Sharon H. Porter, Editor-in-Chief of Vision and Purpose Lifestyle Magazine.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dawn Bornheimer. I'm the founder and Chief Impact Officer for Mission Inspired Consulting.
And we are super excited to welcome our guest today. She is Michelle Hodges. Michelle is a leadership and expert dedicated to empowering others to lead with authenticity and confidence. With over 20 years in sales, hospitality, and training, she founded MH Leadership in 2015 to mentor leaders and build coaching cultures. As Senior Director of Commercial Excellence and Education at LVMH, Moët Hennessy, she drives leadership development and business impact. She also serves on the University of Tennessee's Digital Marketing Advisory Board. Passionate about lifelong learning, Michelle helps leaders gain clarity, embrace feedback, and inspire its excellence, creating lasting impact beyond titles and organizations. Michelle, welcome to Leading with Purpose.
Thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here and have this conversation with you.
Thank you so much. Your journey in leadership development actually and mentorship is just absolutely inspiring. You founded MH Leadership to shaping leaders at LVMH and beyond. You've dedicated your career to helping others step into their full potential. Now you emphasize leading with authenticity and confidence. In your opinion, how can individuals actually develop these qualities?
I would say for confidence first, that most importantly, we think it's this emotion or feeling that we're magically going to feel confident and then move forward. Confidence isn't a feeling or emotion that happens until we take action. It's taking the chance, it's doing the work that builds the feeling of confidence that we achieve afterwards. And then it just propels, allowing us to continue to lean into that confidence. And I think for authenticity, we're often, especially as a woman, we shape ourselves into what we think we need to be. And we lose a little bit of ourselves. We lose our intuition, our voice. And so I think learning to be very clear over who you are, your leadership style, and exactly how you want to show up, and trust that is more than enough.
And I truly believe they go hand in hand. Without confidence, you really can't be your authentic self. And so I truly like that you focus on that. And so many people may need that little boost in that confidence because it's a real thing. We have that imposter syndrome that seeps in every now and then. But as you help individuals do that, they are better able to be themselves. So I love that. Thank you for that.
So as a fellow lifelong learner, we read books and listen to podcasts, and we go to trainings, we get a new certificate, we do a lot of things to up-level ourselves. I would love to hear you share maybe one of those types of trainings or one of those experiences or one of those books that was pivotal in really shaping or shifting the way in which you approach leadership.
I wish I could tell you just right away it was this one thing, but truly I've done so much because early on I didn't have the confidence. So I consumed just copious amounts of information to be able to build the confidence and really get to establish what I thought leadership was. I would say the book that I just read, that even at this point in my career, that was really created it, just having this red thread throughout every part of my life was Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. I just finished it. And it just cemented the things about trusting ourselves, not trying to control what others think about us, because ultimately we're not in control of that. And just showing up is how you want to be. Let them be them, and let me be myself. And that I just finished the book 2 days ago. So that's at the top of mind for me right now.
You know, it's so interesting too, because recency has a lot to do with, you know, what we can recall and what feels most impactful in a moment. And so I too just finished reading that book and a couple of others, because why not be reading things at the same time? But I do think it's in real time. How do we take that and then action it into how we are showing up for others and ourselves each and every day? And so that unique opportunity to read something, consume something with the intention of deciding how it applies to our real lives or our everyday experiences. And I think that's why we're, you know, attracted to learning in that regard. I also appreciate your acknowledgement of the consumption of content, right? There are so many of us that are consuming so often because we're hoping that we're going to find that magic message. And all the while, maybe the invitation really is the application. And so I really love the idea of thinking about that as we consume, what also can we apply, and really making sure that we don't lose that in between as we are also then finding the next right thing or next recommendation or next program to consume.
To that point, one of my favorite quotes is knowledge is not power, applied knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Beautiful.
I'm a learner is one of my top 5 strengths. I'm always reading a book, taking a course. I've done all the Cornell executive leadership things, and it's great. And it's not that I've not benefited from those things, but it really is the intentional action of applying it. So I really, in the last probably 10 years, have tried to map that out. If I'm learning something, what's the plan? How do I hold myself accountable for making the changes that I aspire to change? And that's the hardest part.
No, that's perfect. And it's a good reminder for all of us. Thank you.
Michelle, so learner is my number one. So I love that. That is my number one in my top 5. And so I can truly appreciate that quote, knowledge is not power, but applied knowledge is power. I absolutely love that. You also focus on equipping others, leaders for success, right? From your experience, what are the key skills leaders need to thrive in today's landscape of business?
You know, at one point I would have told you it was executive presence and learning to speak to own your voice, and all of those things are important. But I would say that being able to manage up is an important skill so that you can really, you know, advocate for yourself, be proactive in communicating the value and impact that you're driving. I would say that feedback. We teach leaders how to give feedback. We need to learn how to receive it, because feedback is one of the biggest gifts that you can get, and we don't get it often enough. And that is really one of the things that can hold us back. It can be uncomfortable for your leader to give you feedback. So the more that you can show that you embrace it, that you're eager to receive it, and that you're going to learn from it and apply it, I think that is a critical skill for growth. And then one thing I've been focusing on most recently is the power of discernment, because the desire, and I'm the be all, do more type of personality. I want to tackle all the things, but really understanding what is going to have the biggest impact, what will move, you know, the needle forward. And then also having a critical lens can be great, but what is good enough, and where is it a priority that we improve, and or that my feedback that something is not working is needed.
You know, I love that. As my primary careers educator, and we thrive off of feedback to teachers, to improve their craft, and their skills and leadership. And so that is really important. Why do you think, just a follow up on that, that sometimes it is uncomfortable, even if the person giving the feedback is sandwiching it so that it's, how we do, give them the positive first and throw in the areas of growth, and, so that it's not so harsh. But even still, it can be uncomfortable for the person receiving it.
I think it's difficult because it's not a common practice. We wait until there's a critical moment, and then it feels big. We know perhaps the other person is not expecting it or maybe surprised. It feels that it is a negative or performance-based conversation. I think the important thing of creating a feedback culture is that it's ongoing, it's consistent, it becomes a part of daily interactions, and then it never feels like it's punitive or that you're blindsided. It is just a dialogue of which it's, hey, we're doing these things great, but I think there's opportunity for us to improve here. And I think it's just that it's a dialogue. What do you think?
I know. Absolutely. I think you hit it on the head, and that's the one thing that we definitely try to make sure that it's ongoing, that it is common practice, that, me coming into the classroom, it's not like, hey, what you need? It's just they expect me to come, and then they expect me to leave something, whether it's positive or an area of growth. So I really like that, the ongoing, the consistency of it. It does, again, make it a more common practice than not. So thank you for that.
So I love the idea of making feedback part of the culture, recognizing that it's like a skill and a muscle we have to develop, right? Especially when some feedback stings, right? Because we're working really hard and it's hard to not take it personally in certain instances, but there is so much growth on the other side of it if you're willing. And so establishing that early and often could be done in a safe or trusted partnership, for example, like a mentorship, or a safe space. I'd love to hear your thoughts on, the benefits of having a mentor or even a sponsor, and really those framings around those two types of roles and people that could be in your life to help you develop as an emerging leader, someone who's learning to kind of step into who they want to become as a leader.
So, mentorship is my jam. I'm fully passionate about it. I feel that in my own personal career, that it was the moment that I felt like I truly had a mentor, that I was able to accelerate my own development and career because I wasn't necessarily getting that from my direct leadership. So I think everyone needs a mentor. And honestly, I think 5. Like, I call it your own personal board of directors. And Dawn, you're one of my board. Like, it's somebody. I think too that the idea of mentorship, that it has to be hierarchical, is very outdated. I think peer mentorship is impactful. Group mentorship, reverse mentorship. So I think having multiple points of view and perspectives is hugely valuable, and then it really helps you take in that information and help formulate, what is best for you, because that's it. As a mentor, you're hoping to guide someone, but ultimately it's up to the individual to really decide what is best and take action with that information.
Yeah, and I think it's so important for people to recognize that there is a benefit to having those individuals that you can ideate with, that you can run things by, that you can ask, like, how would you have handled this situation? Or what do you hear me saying that I might not be able to hear in myself, right? And so just being able to create that little safe space or those individuals that are trusted allows us to be more honest, with the experience itself. And sometimes even just saying it all out loud to another person allows you to hear yourself in a different way. And I do appreciate that mentorship can be much further and bigger and more expansive than people realize. And I think the outdated model you reference is really that you need someone in the position in which you desire to grow to. And there's this opportunity for it to be the very people around you or outside of your immediate workspace, that maybe even are once removed from the situations that you're coming to receive some guidance on. How would you recommend somebody seek out an external mentor outside of their immediate work environment?
I think a few options. I'm really big in getting involved in the community, networking, professional organizations. And, I think I look for people who I'm inspired by. So I've been a part of professional organizations. I've met women that I'm like, wow, that person has such a great presence, or I really resonate with their point of view or their voice, and I would love to get to know them more. So I'm often trying to build the relationship first, and then identifying how it's a mutually beneficial relationship as well. I think if I'm looking for someone externally, that often if when I was looking to go, in a new direction, I would maybe research companies that I really admired, and then look for key leaders that I would reach out to and make a connection, and try to build a relationship that way. I think even just using your network, asking, people that you know what you want to work on, do you know someone who's great at that, and would they introduce you?
No, that's perfect. We really love to provide our listeners with some actionable tips, things that they can go and do. And so that's a great little short list of places to start for those that are seeking mentorship outside of their immediate work environment or a structured program. Thank you.
So I really love the fact that you said mentorship was your jam because that brings me to leadership development because that is a form of mentoring. And just from your experience, how do you integrate leadership education into an organization's culture for a lasting impact of that organization?
So first, I think the most critical thing is mindset. I think that's one of the biggest obstacles with any change is understanding the purpose of the program, the benefit to the individual, and then really changing that mindset so that you can create a learning culture to where people are eager and open to receiving information. They understand that prioritizing and investing the time is going to pay dividends. And so I think really targeting to the audience, the problems you're going to help solve in their day to day, and how it can help them accelerate their career is how you get that buy-in, and you adjust the mindset that prioritizing learning growth is important and then non-negotiable.
It's definitely important to get people on board. As they say, get them on the bus in the right seat, going in the right direction, because without that, growth is not possible. And so I really love that. I really love that. And it does take that development of leadership in any organization. I don't care what it is. You have to take time to mentor, to develop the people who are working with you and for you. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I just want to add one thing. I
Sure.
think creating a culture where it's okay to admit what you don't know and to champion learning. And number one, mistakes are not fatal. We learn. And so if you also position that like mistakes, change, any of the failure, all of that are learning opportunities. So even in the day-to-day of your business, you tried something that didn't work, great. Let's not talk about who was at fault or even sometimes what went wrong. It's what did we learn from it and how do we apply that? I think that further instills that we're continually looking for the learning.
Yeah, that's definitely a learning culture. Absolutely. Thank you.
So, building off of that a little bit, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are about being in a leadership position. How do you model and mirror that for those that you are leading so that they truly believe that that isn't just speak, but is truly embraced and welcomed and frankly invited to inspire innovation and learning amongst the collective?
It can be challenging to get people to trust themselves. And when you tell them, even my team now hears me test and learn. We have to test and learn. And it's through that's how we know what we want to scale, and what becomes a larger program or something we invest or build down on. And I think that through conversation, creating a culture where we come together, we talk about ideas, And we talk about, okay, great. What will it take to bring that idea to life? What do you need from support from me to make it happen? And really allowing them to lean into their creativity, championing their ideas, and then letting them know that it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to get us further along than where we are now. And again, it's a test and learn environment. And I find that creativity and innovation thrive in that type of environment.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And I think one of the things that you're saying that I really appreciate too is just continuing to ask questions, right? Using the question as a guidepost to allow them to continue to contribute instead of allowing them to like pose one idea and be like, okay, now I want you to do this. Like immediately switching to, okay, I heard 3 ideas. I'm picking one. Now we're all going to go. And really just continuing to ask questions and allow them to ideate and decide what's the next right forward movement. And then collectively, like continuing that inclusive dialogue is a great way to model the innovation and creativity and collective decision making, if you will, or at least the collective ideation that can come from being creative together instead of in isolation.
And I think saying yes and that actually my current team taught me, like, if you have an idea, it doesn't have to be no. It's yes, and what will it take to bring it to life? Yes, and what are the things we need to do there? What are the resources, the investment? Like, you make it a conversation and not shutting down the ideas, helping your team explore them so that they have the critical thinking to maybe start to vet things before they even bring it to you, and they're not afraid to bring ideas forward.
Yeah, I had a leader a few years back that used to always ask for you to build on the ideas of someone else in the room. So building on that, what do we think about? And then trying to just kind of take each person's idea along with you, if you will, and really staying open to looking at the full scope of ideas that have come up through the ideation process. And then the group collectively sorting and sifting on the next right move. So the yes and is very powerful. Certainly a good takeaway for the group as well.
Michelle, this has been so amazing. We certainly want to thank you for stopping by Leading with Purpose podcast and just giving us a glimpse into your world. And we do want to allow you this space to share any contact information, any upcoming events you may have, or any way that our audience can follow you or connect with you.
I would say the best fit is LinkedIn. I am frequently sharing thoughts and insights and or my website. LinkedIn is Michelle-Hodges Leadership, and my website is Michelle-Hodges.com.
And again, we want to thank Michelle Hodges, and audience, we want to thank you as well. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Leading with Purpose podcast today. Again, I am Dr. Sharon H. Porter.
I'm Dawn Marie Bornheimer. As you navigate your leadership journey, remember that leading with purpose is not just a philosophy, but a commitment to making a positive impact.
And if you enjoyed today's episode, please share it. Please share with your network. Don't forget to subscribe so you will never miss an opportunity to explore the intersection of leadership and purpose. Continue to lead, empower, inspire, and achieve. And until next time, lead with passion, lead with a positive intention, and by all means, continue to lead with purpose. Thank you for joining the Leading with Purpose podcast. Please join us every Monday for a new episode.